Hello and welcome to Theology on Tap. Crazy world that we live in, right? And we have politicians who are encouraging and inciting people to become violent against their oppositions. That's crazy. There's wars and rumors of wars, and it's just like when you read the news, even when you go to the church, the future sucks. The world's going to come to an end, one way or the other. We're going through a heat wave here in Southern California, and of course, already a lot of people are saying global warming. I thought global warming is not true, and they changed the climate change, but now it's back to global warming. And, you know, everybody's like throwing insults at each other, disagreeing with one another, and calling each other by a bunch of names. Right? The more that we try to bring down a law and say certain words you're not allowed to use, there are a bunch of other words that are pushed by the society and even by the government that are being enforced to be used. All right? To me, that's kind of strange. Don't you find that strange? How we think that through law, right, by the power of the government or power of whoever's in charge, that we are going to change the way the people behave in life through law. I don't think that's the way to go. I don't even think it's going to work. Right? So it's a crazy world, but as we live in this crazy world, then how are we as Christians, right? People who are Christians now, how are we supposed to, witness to them? Right? Because the world, especially here in Southern California, not many people are religious. I think many people was brought up in religion, but I don't think that many people are religious anymore. A lot of people just kind of say they don't go to church anymore and stuff. Not like when we were growing up. My church that I went to had this thing called Soul Saving Saturdays, when they would go to popular sites where people hang out and hand out tracts and talk about Jesus. I mean, I never went to one of those because I thought if I were on a date on a Saturday night, would I enjoy being confronted by Christians and handing me tracts and stuff? Of course, I didn't want that. There's time for everything, I think, right? Anyways, so those kind of things really doesn't work anymore. The whole idea that the end of the world is coming and Jesus is going to, destroy 2/3 of the world, send them into hell forever. I don't even think that's working anymore either. So how are we supposed to witness to the world, make disciples of the world, and change the world in a way that it could become better? Right? Because I really think personally it's going to get better and better and better and better. Even though the world and the religion is predicting, catastrophic events that's going to kill everybody. All right. I just think it's going to get better. So I have a dream. There's a story in the Bible called the Centurion's Confession. Centurion was a man who was in charge of 100 people. In the story, he is in charge of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, which means that he probably have executed a lot of people in the past. He's familiar with it. And since he's in charge of executing somebody, he probably knew something about the person that is being executed. So he probably studied upon Jesus Christ. He was not a Jew, so therefore he had to study upon him and realize who Jesus was. And he probably realized how unfair it was that the religious people were the ones that are trying to get Jesus crucified under Roman law, even though Jesus did not break any Roman law. So I'm sure the centurion didn't feel really good about that, right? I'm sure he probably felt, I'm going to execute an innocent man, and that's not good. That's going to haunt him for a long time. I'm sure he didn't really feel good about that. At the same time, he was probably thinking, how is this man Jesus going to react to the fact that he's unfairly being crucified? Right? So he's in charge. Here comes Jesus, and one of the first things he probably realized is that Jesus is already beaten up to the Pope. I mean, think about that. All right, I don't think any other people that has been crucified had been beaten that badly. Okay, the whole point of Pilate doing that was so that hopefully when Jesus gets beat up pretty good, hopefully the religious people would say, okay, he suffered enough, he doesn't have to die. But of course the religious people wanted Jesus to die on the cross. So the centurion probably didn't like how Jesus was already beaten up. And you know, Jesus went through the pain of being crucified. He's up there hanging, and there's two other guys are being crucified with him, and they are a few feet apart from one another. As their conversation is going, I'm sure the centurion heard it. And there's one side where the man is insulting Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ doesn't respond to him in any way. It doesn't seem like he's affected by it. And that's very important, because as Christians, I know a lot of people are going to say a lot of bad things about Jesus Christ. Well, not Jesus, but the church. Or have disagreements about faith. I'm sure a lot of people would challenge us in our belief about Jesus Christ, but it's so difficult to tell other people about faith when the question has a lot to do with logic. And logic is always going to win over faith. Faith is blind, all right, because you don't see it. All right? Logic is something that you're able to calculate and to see. So it's very difficult. All right. So if people throw insults and stuff, you know, the way we should respond to that is, I don't know if we should respond to in a way of saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, the devil got into your mind, so therefore that's the reason why you're not going to be, that's why you don't have faith yet. You know, I don't think that's a good way to go about it, because Jesus didn't really respond to the one. But then there's the other person who was definitely in need of Jesus Christ. He's about to die. He probably did something horrible, and he feels really bad about it. So basically he is adoring Jesus Christ, looking for help, and Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. All right? And I think that's a wonderful thing in the way of that's the good news. To be able to tell people about good news is a good thing. It's a wonderful thing. And throughout human being lifetime, there's going to come a time when people will be searching for answers that logic does not provide. Or they're going through circumstances in life when they believe so much in the government, or they believe so much in other people, family, friends, or whatever. But, life gets really difficult. People who have gone through education system can't get a job, or, they're looking for answers. And Jesus, to be, as Christians, being there with the comforting word of Jesus Christ, I think that's a good thing. And Centurion saw that, all right? And then there are the religious people who's throwing insults at Jesus Christ and yelling out, crucify him, and things. And Centurion saw that the innocent man is about to die because of these religious leaders. And yet Jesus says, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. And that's gotta be something, right? The centurion saw that and probably realized, man, this is a different kind of a man here. There's a movie that was made a few years ago with Tom Hanks called Green Mile. And I'm sure the writers wrote that book, Green Mile, on this story, because they're so similar. Because there's a black man who was accused of killing a little child. He's about to be executed. But we all know as audience that he is innocent. He's a good man. But he doesn't really seem to get angry about it. He's very calm. He's a big giant of a man. And until the very end, he apologizes at the end. I am sorry. I don't think he's saying I'm sorry because he's guilty of killing somebody. I'm sure everybody else took it that way, maybe. But he was saying, I'm sorry because the parents who were crying, who had such hatred towards him, even though he's not responsible for it, he is sorry that they had to go through that because the parents did lose a child. So Tom Hanks' character, who's the guard, who's looking at this man thinking and having tremendous respect for the man. And he is sorry that he has to turn on the switch to kill an innocent man. And I'm sure that's how the centurion felt. So at the end, when Jesus breathed his last, he said, surely this man was the Son of God. Because only a man who has such tremendous faith, who is the Son of God, would react to the horrible circumstances of life in a way that is graceful, forgiving, and loving. Surely this man was the Son of God. And I'm sure that afterwards he was able to talk about the experience with a lot of people. And who knows how many people he brought into Jesus Christ because of that. Because of that. So instead of reacting to the world and accusing Hollywood of trying to do certain things against the church, instead of saying that the government is overstepping the boundaries into our freedom of faith, which I think both of them may be true, but to react in a way that of anger, protest, I don't know if that's the way that Jesus would want us to, as his children, to act. We should learn from Christ to win people over not by force, but through love. When Martin Luther King Jr. gave that awesome speech when he said he had a dream about one day we'll be judged by our character. That's a wonderful speech, and I totally believe in that. I don't know if the world really likes that speech because the world doesn't want to judge people by character, but I think the world wants to judge people by what's fair and what's not fair and who gets to decide what is fair and not fair. But as Christians, I think we should continue to live by our character of Christ that is in us, to follow the Spirit that leads us every day. So we could act and react in a way in life where it could be a good influence to the world, that we win people over by our grace, by love, by our faith, being stable even though the world around us might be collapsing. Instead of telling people how they're all going to go to hell because the judgment day is coming. You notice anytime people have predicted about the judgment day has been wrong. I think there's a reason for that. We should act in the way that Christ have acted. That's what I think. I think that way you can win people over more. My wife has a tremendous faith when it comes to understanding Scripture. She reads the Bible here and there, and she studies it more now than ever before. But, she gets influenced by whoever teaches, she watches YouTube and reads other people's writings, and then she gets influenced by it because she enjoys reading and hearing it, but she's not knowledgeable enough to make a honest decision about what is a true belief and what is not, what we as evangelicals are supposed to believe compared to others. She just loves Jesus Christ. When she's a hairdresser and she had a friend that was working with her, and she's from the Middle East and Persian lady, and I'm not 100% sure if I don't think she was a practicing Muslim, but her family were Muslim. And they were working side by side for, I don't know how many years. I like to say about 7-10 years or so. And my wife never ever went up to her, even though they talked about a lot of different things. She never went up to her and said, "You should believe in Jesus Christ." Lectured her in any way. But I think it was somewhere between 7 to 10 years of relationship. This woman came to my wife and asked, "Hey, I know your life. You had gone through a lot of struggles in your life. I have gone through a lot of struggles in life." That's what she said. But how is it that you always have a smile on your face, and that you never complain about anything, and that you're always in somewhat of a positive mood, always there to help people when they're in need? How is it that you could whistle through life knowing that I know that you have gone through so many struggles and still continue to, financial problems to everything? How do you do that? And my wife really didn't say anything except the name. She said, "Well, Jesus Christ, my Lord." And that was all my wife said. Fast forward a couple of years, she converts to Christianity, and her children have become Christians. And they go to church, very active in community, Christian community. And I think that's the best way to witness to somebody. I think that's the best way to do it. Anyways, may God bless you on this day and give you the strength and the faith, hope, and love to continue to live our lives in a way that portray the character of Jesus Christ. and not act and react in a way that would turn people off, but act and react to life in a way that onlookers will be able to say, surely this person has faith in Jesus Christ. All right? That would be kind of cool. May God bless you. May you live that kind of a life. And I'll see you next time.